All right. Good evening, all of you. Welcome back. I hope you guys are doing really very well and you're enjoying your all the classes despite of being it is more hectic. But I don't think so there is any other alternative for all of us to get adjusted to this as soon as possible for the betterment of us. Yeah. So same thing, guys. Give it a quick glimpse. We are moving towards the topics of today's classes. Maybe, yeah. Yes, Priyadashini, maybe. All right. So, yes, let's move ahead. Yeah. Right. Good evening, Pritesh. Yes, so last class we were discussing about non-stoichiometric defect, right? Nivedita and all others, yesterday's video has not been uploaded. I know that. I don't upload the videos. It's at the back end, there is a central team, tech team, who upload these videos. Maybe some of them were not well yesterday, so most likely you'll get it by today. Today, I think they'll upload all, right? Okay, so Lingaraj is saying now it is uploaded. Maybe, yeah. Chalo, let's start. Yeah. So last class, the last defect, non-stoichiometric defect we had started, and we had taken the example in non-stoichiometric defect was the defect due to anion vacancy, right? And I explained you there is an anion vacancy which is occupied by electron, and this was called what? F center. And we discussed F center was responsible for color and paramagnetic character. This is what we had concluded last class. Correct? Aishwarya, yes, I will. I know many of you will be Avengers fan. And the second one is from something about Indian politics. Right? Quizzes are easy only. Quizzes are never difficult. Yes, good evening, Preksha. Jai Shri Ram Kiran. See, I'm wearing the orange color also. Bhagwan. Right. Yeah. So this is what we had discussed. Correct. I had explained you all those stuff. Right. Now let me, if you see here, we had discussed non-stoichiometric defect is of two types, metal excess and metal deficiency. Now I'm going to move towards, we have already discussed one type of metal excess, that is metal excess due to anion vacancy. When anion goes outside, creates a vacancy, electron comes and sits in it to create F center. This is called metal excess due to anion vacancy. Now we are going to the second type of metal excess defect, that is, that is metal excess due to presence of extra cations in the interstitial site. Metal excess due to extra cations in the interstitial sites. So there is a statement from the textbook which says zinc oxide is white in color at room temperature. On heating, it loses oxygen and turns yellow. Zinc oxide is white at room temperature, but when you start heating it, it becomes yellow. Why it turns yellow? We'll see that. So it is observed that when you heat zinc oxide, so zinc oxide contains Zn2 plus and O minus 2. So what happens? This O minus 2, right, loses electron, right? Oxygen minus 2, if it loses 2 electron, oxidation, then you'll get 0 here. And how many electron it has lost? 2 electron. So on balancing, you'll get O plus 2 electron. O can also be written as half O2, correct? So basically what we are saying, Zn2 plus of zinc oxide remain as it is, and O minus 2 has been oxidized to O2, right? Here you have 2 extra electron, here you have 0 electron. Where are those 2 extra electron? Those 2 extra electrons are lost. And this is also what? Oxidation of oxide to half O2. This O2 will leave the mixture as soon as it is formed, correct? Now, let me explain this using a diagram, right? So if you take a crystal again, let's say you have a zinc oxide crystal. So again, Zn2 plus ion, O minus 2, Zn2 plus ion, O minus 2, Zn2 plus 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 O minus 2. So this is white, right? When you heat it, what happens is one of the O minus 2, this O minus 2 will get lose electron to get converted into O2 gas and 2 electrons. So this O2 gas, as soon as it is formed, it will leave the lattice, right? If it leave the lattice, before how many zinc were there? 6 Zn2 plus were there and 6 O minus 2 were there. Now, after that, you will have Zn2 plus O minus 2, Zn2 plus, there is a vacancy, Zn2 plus O minus 2, Zn2 plus O minus 2, Zn2 plus O minus 2, Zn2 plus O minus 2. Now, you have how many Zn? 6 Zn2 plus and how many O minus 2? 5 O minus 2. So what happens is charge is not balanced. Now to neutralize the charge, what will happen? These 2 electrons will come and sit in the interstitial site, right? So 1 electron will sit in this void. 1 electron will sit in this void. Now, there are 2 extra electrons, right? Not 2 electrons. I think, yeah, 2 electrons. Yes, 2 electrons. Why 2 electrons? Because here you have charge of 6 into plus 2 plus 12. And if there are 5 oxygen, you have minus 10. Now minus 10 minus 2 electron charge will become minus 12. So to balance the charge, 2 electrons will come and sit into these interstitial site, right? It will sit into these interstitial site. Also, one of the zinc 2 plus ion will move to interstitial site. Okay. Now this solid is electrically neutral. There is a defect. What is the defect? How many metal ions you have? 6. How many non-metal you have? 5. So now it becomes an example of what? Metal excess. It becomes an example of metal excess. Now the question is, it is metal excess, but why is it color? Because this electron, same as F center, this electron will absorb energy, get excited to higher energy level. When it comes back to the ground state, it will emit energy. And the emitted energy has a wavelength corresponding to yellow color. Therefore, this substance will appear yellow color because of the unpaired electron. So this substance is appearing color because of the unpaired electron. Why Zn will move to the interstitial site? Pritish, right now I have told that this is a constituent Zn2 plus, right? It may happen some Zn2 plus might come from outside also. So if there is no space for them, then it will move to interstices, right? If there is a space for them, then they will remain in their own position. What I'm trying to say here is, I have just assumed zinc 2 plus of this has moved into interstices. If it was zinc 2 plus of outside coming inside, then it will definitely come to interstices because there is no lattice point free. Okay? So I have assumed it to be internal Zn2 plus. But if it was external Zn2 plus, then definitely it will occupy interstices. If it is internal Zn2 plus, it may be at lattice point or it may remain at interstices also. both are fine. ठीक है, both are fine. Now yes, now let's see this. Now there is an excess of zinc in the crystal and its formula becomes Zn. Oxygen is 1, but zinc has increased 1 plus X. Atoms of zinc metal has increased, correct? Okay, Kayuri. So the process says one of the oxide ion gets oxidized to O2. I hope all of you remember redox. According to redox, O minus 2 after losing 2 electrons will form O, zero oxidation state. O can also be written as half O2, correct? So O minus 2 gets converted into O2. O2 gas will leave the system, right? Creating a vacancy, correct? Now, if O2 leave the system, O2 gas leave the system, creating a vacancy, you'll have 6 Zn2 plus and 5 O minus 2 because 1 O minus 2 has gone outside in the form of O2, correct? Now, now there's a charge of how much? 5 into minus 2, minus 10 charge. Here you have 6 into plus 2, plus 12 charge. You have plus 12 charge. Now you have minus 10 plus 12. Overall, plus 12 plus 2 charge is extra. So to neutralize extra plus 2 charge, 2 electrons will come and sit in these voids. Okay? Right? Now, if it happens, so charge will be balanced. Minus 10 plus 2 electron charge is minus 2. So minus 12 plus 12. Electrical neutrality is there. But the problem is there is a 6 Zn now, 5 oxide now. Now the amount of Zn is more than oxide. Correct? Therefore, we'll say it is an example of metal excess defect because metal is present in more amount. Correct? That's all, Kayuri. And this Zn2 plus may remain at lattice point or it may move to the interstitial site. Right? That may vary from crystal to crystal. Okay? Kiran, why can't you apply a little bit logic, beta Ravi Kiran? I have already explained why electrons are coming and sitting here to neutralize extra positive charge. If O2 comes and sits here, how will O2 neutralize the charge? How will O2 neutralize the positive charge? You are asking why it sits, not it sits in the vacancies. Maybe the size of the vacancy is large enough that electron cannot fit in it. There may be many reasons. Okay? Now we can say color is due to these free electrons. Color is due to these free electrons created here. Okay? So this is what Zn2 plus ion move to one of the interstitial sites and the electrons to the other interstitial sites. Okay? So here amount of Zn will increase. So if this is 1, this will become 1 plus X. This is called metal excess due to extra cations at interstitial site. Okay? Now, the last defect is metal. Last defect we have to study is metal deficiency defect. Okay? We have already seen this. Metal excess defect is done. Now we are going towards metal deficiency defect. Okay? Just a correction. This is metal deficiency defect. It is a metal deficiency defect. It is also non-stoichiometric type. Metal deficiency defect. Okay, Vijayalakshmi. Vijayalakshmi, this one, right? It is also paramagnetic, Vijayalakshmi. Sorry, Aishwarya. It is also paramagnetic. Yes, you can take a screenshot. All right. So let's move ahead. So guys, this defect which we are going to study now is almost same as impurity defect. Okay? So let me explain this. Yeah. So guys, see this carefully. This is almost like impurity defect. You remember NaCl doped with SrCl2. Yesterday we were discussing. Similar to this. Here you take Fe plus 2, O minus 2, 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 Fe plus 2, O minus 2. Okay? So what happens in this is, when this is treated with some compound of iron having +3 oxidation state. First thing is, this defect is shown by transition elements having variable oxidation state. Having variable oxidation state. That means only those transition elements which can show more than one oxidation state can show this effect. For example, iron can show +2 also. Iron can show +3 also. So if iron oxide crystal, that means +2 minus 2. This crystal, if it is treated with Fe plus 3 ion, right? If it comes in contact with Fe plus 3 ion, then what will happen? So 3 Fe plus 2 will go outside. 3 Fe plus 2 will go outside and it will become, so let me write it over here, minus 3 Fe plus 2. So let's remove 3 Fe plus 2, O minus 2, Fe plus 2, O minus 2, O minus 2, Fe plus 2, O minus 2. Right? Now 3 vacancies are created. Right? 3 Fe plus 2 goes outside. What is the meaning of this? How much total positive charge is going outside? 3 into plus 2. How much total positive charge is going outside? 1 Fe plus 2 carries +2. So 3 Fe plus 2 will carry +6. So total positive charge going outside is +6. So +6 charge goes outside. So to maintain the charge, +6 charge should come inside also. So which will come in the form of what? Fe plus 3. So Fe plus 3 will come and sit in these vacancies. But +6 charge can be brought by how many Fe plus 3? 2 Fe plus 3 will only come. Because 2 Fe plus 3 will carry how much charge? 1 carry +3, 2 will carry +6. So 1 Fe plus 3 will come and sit here. 1 Fe plus 3 will come and sit here. Charge is balanced. +6 had gone outside. +6 has come inside. Charge is balanced. But number of metal ions, you can count number of metal ions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 iron. Non-metal. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 oxide. So now metal is present in less amount. Metal is present in less amount. And this is your cation vacancy. This is your cation vacancy. Now metal, you have only 5 iron, 6 oxide. Now metal is present in less amount. Therefore, we will say this is metal deficiency defect. Metal deficiency defect. Therefore, iron will not be written as iron oxide now. Iron, if this is 1, iron should be less than 1. That means let's say 0.940. Such compounds are also called NSC. That means non-stoichiometric compound. They're also called non-stoichiometric compound. Now, important thing to note here is, one cation vacancy is created by how many Fe3 plus? 2 Fe3 plus. So let us write it over here. 2 Fe plus 3 creates one cation vacancy. We'll use it for numericals. 1 Fe3 plus creates one cation vacancy. Right? All right. Now, Pritesh, this is our assumption that the charges cannot be in fraction. So if one Fe3 plus comes, how many Fe plus 2 will go outside? How will you balance +2? How will you represent +3 charge in form of +2? Difficult. Fraction it will come. So I have considered the minimum possibility here. It can also happen that 6 Fe plus 2 go outside and 4 Fe plus 3 come inside. That can also happen. It may happen that 9 Fe plus 2 go outside and 6 Fe plus 3 comes inside. That can also happen, right? Yes, Ashutosh, they follow the similar process. Tanmay, this is almost exactly like yes, Veerbhadra, thank you. Now, Tanmay, see here, what happens here is, in this crystal, you treat Fe plus 2 crystal, Fe plus 2 O minus 2 crystal with Fe plus 3. Now, 3 Fe plus 2 goes outside. When they go outside, they carry how much charge? Plus 6 charge outside. Now, to neutralize this plus 6 charge, how many plus 3 will come inside? Only 2. Plus 3 into 2, plus 6. To neutralize plus 6 charge, only 2 Fe3 plus will come inside. 1 Fe3 plus comes here. 1 Fe3 plus comes here. Now, 3 had gone, so 1 cation vacancy will be created, right? This will remain empty. So now, total you have now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 iron, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 oxide. Now, metal is present in less amount than non-metal. Therefore, it is called metal deficiency. Now we can see 2 Fe3 plus is creating how many cation vacancy? 1. So 2 Fe3 plus creates 1 cation vacancy, right? No, Prashant, it does not show zero oxidation state. We are going to come to that, Prashant. Don't worry. Now, the moment you see Fe 0.940, it is not FeO no more. Why it has become less than 1? Because some of the Fe plus 2 has been replaced by Fe plus 3. That means this compound contains plus 2 also. It contains plus 3 also. Average oxidation state we have to find. We can find the average oxidation state. It will come out to be 2 point something. Okay? Kayuri, there is no reaction happening. There is no reaction happening. What may happen is, over the period of time, some of the Fe plus 2 might get oxidized to Fe plus 3. And they start replacing your Fe plus 2, right? Over the period of time. So it's not like some reaction is happening or something. Okay? No, the oxidation process is not such fast process. Oxidation is a slow process. That's why I told it may happen. Some of the iron plus 2 might get oxidized to plus 3, but it will take a lot of time over a period of time. Okay? Pritesh, I did not get your doubt. Right. So this is what we have done over here. We have represented them as 0.930, 0.960. Since it is less than oxygen atom, oxygen is 1, it is 0.96. It means it contains both plus 2 as well as plus 3. Okay? It may range from 0.93 to 0.96 for iron. Now, this is all I had to explain in this, right? Abhishek, if there was only 1 oxygen, 1 iron, then it is 1:1. But you see here, oxygen is more, iron is less. So obviously, your oxygen is going to be more than iron, right? So if oxygen is 1, iron should be less than 1. It can be 0.94 also, it can be 0.95 also, it can be 0.96 also. That depend upon how many iron 2 plus is replaced by how many iron 3 plus. That depends upon that. It can be it's not necessarily 0.94 only. As you can see, it can be 0.95, 0.96, 0.93, depending upon how many are replaced. Right, guys, there's a quick question here. We'll raise a poll and give less time only. What type of crystal defect is indicated below? 4 options are here. Which type of defect is indicated below in the diagram? What type of defect is indicated below in the diagram? Yes. So you'll get another span of 30 seconds. We'll end this in 30 seconds. Kiran, question is visible on screen, beta. I am also seeing the screen only. Right. So let's end this on a count of 3, 2, 1. Now. So yes, many of you have voted for B, right? Let's see. The answer is B indeed. Correct? Why the answer is B indeed? Do not worry about how many Na plus is there, how many Cl minus is there, because it has not finished, right? So it will continue. Correct? So now you see total 1, 2, 3, 4 ions are missing from the lattice. Correct? If 4 ions are missing from the lattice, right? Sometimes cation is also missing. Sometimes anion is also missing. So only possibility where cation and anion both can be missing from the lattice together is which defect? Schottky defect, right? So this represents your Schottky defect because both are missing from the lattice, right? Now there's another question. In a solid lattice, the cation has left a lattice site and it is located at interstitial position. This defect is known as, don't laugh on these questions, how easy they are. You can go and check previous year defects, say you get these questions only. You get these questions only. Right? So A, B, C, D. Madan, you can message me. I will help you how you can download. All right. You can vote quickly. Yes. So let's end this on a count of 3. If you have not voted so far, please vote. Yes, let's end this on a count of 3, 2, 1, now. So yes, Tanya, you're right. The defect is Frankel defect. In Frankel defect, cation is missing from the lattice and it occupies the interstitial site. That is the definition of Frankel defect. Frankel defect is correct. And this question we had done yesterday only. CET previous year question, 2019 question. We had done this question. You can solve it as a homework. Right. Let's discuss one more question over here. Yes. So let's discuss one more question over here. That is, if you are given this composition, you have to find in this compound how much percentage of +2 is present, how much percentage of +3 is present. The moment I see 0.94, I know this contains +2 also, +3 also. So how to solve this type of questions, right? How to solve this type of question? Which page, Kayuri, you are asking about? Kayuri, which page? Homework. Yeah. So guys, you can take down the homework. Third one as homework. You can take 4th, 5th also as homework. 4th, 5th also you can take it as homework. Okay? Yes. Let's come back to this. I need to find how much iron in this 0.94 iron. How much iron is +2? How much iron is +3? Now, all right, Prashant has already given the answer. Very good, Prashant. Chalo. Now let's see this. How can I solve this? First, I will assume number of oxygen atoms. I am assuming it to be 100. I can see it is 1, right? But I don't want to do calculation from 1 because it will become fraction and calculations will be tough. So if oxygen is 1, it is 0.94. Then if oxygen is 100, this will also be multiplied by 100. Then total iron atoms will be how much? Total iron atoms will be 94. So if oxygen is 1, iron is 0.94. So if oxygen is 100, multiply by 100. So this should also be multiplied by 100. So it will become 0.94 into 100 is 94. Now there are two ways of solving this. I am first doing the one which you need to follow for your board exams. So if you see this, in this total 94 atoms, let us say iron plus 2 is X, then iron plus 3 will be how much? 94 minus X. That means X atoms are of iron plus 2. How many total is 94? So plus 3 will be how much? 94 minus X. Correct? Now what I can do here is, I can do the following. Yes, this is also a part of redox. We also teach it in redox. If you have done it there, very good. If not, let's learn it here. So now you can see here, we will apply total positive charge. Magnitude should be equal to total negative charge in ionic solids. Correct? Now I have oxygen atoms. Oxygen atom carry how much charge? -2. And how many oxygen atoms are there? 100. So total negative charge will become 100 into -2 mod charge. Only we have to take magnitude 100 into 2. Total positive charge is charge of Fe plus 2 and charge of Fe plus 3. One Fe plus 2 carries plus 2 charge. One Fe plus 2 carry plus 2 charge. X will carry how much? X into plus 2. X into plus 2 plus Fe3 plus carries how much charge? 1 Fe3 plus carries plus 3. 94 minus X will carry how much? 3 into 94 minus X. Now solving this, you'll get 2X minus 3X plus 3 into 94 equal to 200, right? So you'll get minus X is equals to 200 minus 282. Correct? I think. Let's do the calculation again. Yes, 282. So that is minus 82. Correct? Minus 82. So X comes out to be 82. That means how many atoms are iron plus 2 out of 94? X, that is 82. So iron plus 2 is 82. Iron plus 3 is 94 minus X. That is 94 minus 82. How much it is? 8 plus 4, 12. Now percentage of Fe plus 2 will be amount of 82, amount of A plus 282 divided by total into 100. You can simplify this. You'll get the answer. Correct? Saksha, beta, what I have done here is, I have assumed my oxygen atoms to be 100. I can do with 1 also, but the calculations will be tougher. That's why I'm converting it into this. Okay? So if I assume this as 1, so this will become, if I multiply this by 100, so oxygen atoms are 100, then iron atoms were 0.94 when oxygen was 1. If oxygen is 100, then this should also be multiplied by 100. So iron atoms will become 94. Out of these 94 atoms, how many are iron plus 2? X. How many are plus 3? 94 minus X. Correct? Then I applied total positive charge equal to total negative charge. Negative charge is due to oxygen. Positive charge is due to iron plus 2 and iron plus 3. Correct? Now, in this, what I did then, one oxygen carries -2 charge. 100 will carry how much? 100 into 2, total negative charge. Then one iron plus 2 carries plus 2 charge. X will carry how much? Plus 2 into X. One iron plus 3 carry plus 3 charge. 94 minus X will carry how much? 3 into 94 minus X. So total positive equal to total negative. When you equate it, you can find the value of X. It comes out to be 82. Okay? I hope it is clear. Now you can find the percentages. I guess it will come out to be approximately 87%. Okay? It will come out to be approximately 87%. Yes. I'll tell you one more method of doing this. Let me see how much time do we have. All right, I'll come back to this. I'll tell you a shortcut of doing this also. Once let me finish the today's topics, then I'll come back to this. There's a shortcut also using number line also you can solve this. Right, so this was your homework. Yeah, now we are going to start with we have taken x as Fe plus 3. Is it? X is plus 2. Abhishek, x is Fe plus 2. Check again. If we had, your answer will not change. Your answer will remain same. Your x value will change accordingly. Then x value will come out to be 12. If you change the approximations, if you interchange these two, your answer will change here. But final answer will remain same. Okay? Now, if you see this, what I can do over here is, what is the answer of the previous question? I have not asked any question. Answer of this question is 87% of Fe plus 2. And this will be approximately 13% plus 3. Right? Now let's go ahead to the band theory of solids. Previous of that, there is no question only, man. You're asking about defect. The defect answer was Frankel defect. Second defect was Frankel defect. Okay? Now, yes, band theory of solids and electrical properties. Band theory of solids and electrical properties. Guys, you have studied that in solid state, there is an energy level E1, energy level E2, energy level E3. As you keep going away, the energy gap keeps on decreasing. E4, E5, E6. So as you go away from the nucleus, the energy gap between the shells decrease. So after certain point of time, what will happen? These energy levels will mix with each other. They will mix with each other. Right? They will mix with each other. Correct? They will mix with each other. Right? So when they mix with each other, they will overlap of atomic orbitals. It is formed by overlap of atomic orbitals. Okay? So let me repeat. Before anybody asks me to repeat, let me repeat myself. As you go away from shell, the energy gap between shell keeps on decreasing. As you go away from nucleus, energy gap keeps on decreasing. After certain value, the energy levels will mix with each other. When they mix with each other, they will form a band. Right? So band is formed by shells contain atomic orbitals. So atomic orbitals will mix. So band is formed by overlap of atomic orbitals. Now, there are two types of band which are formed generally. Generally, there are two types of band formed. One is called conduction band. Conduction band. Other is called valence band. Right? This band is formed by overlap of empty orbitals. Empty orbitals. And this is formed by overlap of partially filled orbitals. Partially filled orbitals. Okay? If I give you example, let us say lithium. If I take lithium configuration is 1s2, 2s1. So I know 1s2 is filled, 2s1 is partially filled. Correct? So there are empty 2p orbitals. So these 2p orbitals will overlap to form conduction band, and this filled orbitals will form valence band. Okay? So this is the meaning of the band theory of solids. Now I'm going to use this to define my electrical properties, right? Now, always you can see the energy of valence band. It is as you go away from nucleus, energy increases, right? And you can see here, the energy is more for conduction band because it is formed by overlap of higher energy atomic orbitals. Valence band energy is less. So when you draw it on energy diagram, you will draw conduction band like this, CB, and valence band like this, lower in energy. Correct? Now, the energy gap between the two band is called delta E, which is called energy gap or forbidden gap. This is also called forbidden gap. Correct? Now, this gap decides whether your substance is a metal, conductor, insulator, or semiconductor. So we define based on this our conductors. We define our conductors, insulators, and semiconductors. Right? These are the category. Are Pritesh, beta, I have already written here. I said also delta E is forbidden gap or energy gap between. Come on, Pritesh. Energy gap between valence band and conduction band. Okay. My problem is not clearing the doubts. My problem is you being very careless. That is my problem. Don't be careless. You can read here, no? Spelling was not visible. Voice was audible. Voice was audible. Okay. So now you have conductors, insulators, and semiconductors. So what is your conductors? Conductors are the species where your conduction band and valence band overlap with each other. They will overlap with each other. Delta E is approximately 0, right? Such that the energy gap is so less, all the electrons from valence band can easily jump to conduction band and conduct electricity. So all the electrons from filled valence band can jump to empty conduction band to conduct electricity. Whereas in insulators, the energy gap between conduction band and valence band is very high. Delta E, very large. Right? So electrons in valence band cannot jump to conduction band. Therefore, they cannot conduct electricity. Whereas in semiconductors, the gap is intermediate. The gap is intermediate. For example, if I take silicon, in the silicon semiconductor, the gap is approximately 111 kilojoule per mole. If I take germanium, it is 63 kilojoule per mole. So gap is such that if there were 6 electrons, out of 6, 3 can jump into conduction band. Not all, some can jump into conduction band. Whereas in valence band, in conductors, all 6 electrons will jump. Right? So conduction band, conductors gap is 0, insulators gap is very high, semiconductors gap is intermediate, slight gap is there. So this is how you define your conductors, insulators, and semiconductors. Right? Now, this is what we have done over here. You can go through it. We have set up the definition of conductors here. They have the conductivity between 10 power 4 to 10 power 7. Insulators conductivity is 10 power minus 20 to 10 power minus 10. Matlab very less conductivity. Semiconductor 10 power minus 6 to 10 power 4. This is the conductivity of these substances. Right? Not all, Dhanush. Not all. Right. Now, after this, let us go towards types of semiconductor. Right? So types of semiconductor, based on this, we have defined 2 types of semiconductor. All of you, please pay attention. We have defined 2 types of semiconductor. One is intrinsic and other is extrinsic. Right? What are inversely proportional array? If the gap is less, conductance is more. Inversely proportional. Now, intrinsic and extrinsic. Intrinsic and extrinsic. So I'll give you example of intrinsic first. So what happens at a room temperature? Silicon, 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 silicon. So everywhere it will be bonded by silicon atoms, right? So silicon, everywhere silicon atoms, it will be bonded. So room temperature pe there is no free electrons, so it will not conduct too much electricity. But what happens when you heat it? When you heat it, some of these bonds are broken. Silicon bonds will break. So when the bonds will break, electrons will get free. Electrons will get free. So silicon, 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 bonded, bonded, right? Now this bond is free. So when this bond is free, the electrons present in the bonds will become free to move. They will move and conduct electricity. So now here, the reason for the increase in conductance of the semiconductor is intrinsic reason. That means the current carrier electrons are the electrons of the silicon only. You have not added electrons from outside. It is internal electron. Therefore, you say it is intrinsic semiconductor. What about extrinsic? Extrinsic has been defined into two categories. We'll study first doping. What is doping? Yes, kids, you will not be able to see me now, right? So you'll be able to only see my screen now, right? So we'll manage with this for the next 20 minutes, right? So if you face any difficulties, please post on the chat. I know you can't see me now, right? But you can see my screen for sure. You can hear me for sure. All right. So let me tell you what is doping, right? So doping is addition of unwanted impurities. Sorry, addition of wanted impurities or desirable impurities. Addition of desired impurities to increase conductivity of semiconductor or change some other properties. That means when I want to increase the Chandrasekhar beta, if I keep repeating beta, then what will happen to the syllabus? Chandrasekhar, I have no problems in repeating, but the problem is I'll keep repeating, then I'll finish one topic which is of 10 minutes in 1 hour. That's the problem. Okay. So what happens here is silicon is bonded to silicon atoms. So room temperature pe there is no free electron. No free electron means there is no conductance, but not much conductance. When you heat it, one of the silicon bond will break. and electrons will be set free. Now these free electrons can move and conduct electricity, right? So now the electrons which are conducting electricity here, you have not added them from outside. They are the electrons of silicon only, internal electrons. Since they are internal electrons, therefore we will say it is intrinsic type of semiconductor, right? I hope it is clear. Now, if you see this, doping is when you add external impurities to a semiconductor to increase its conductivity. For example, silicon is a semiconductor. If I add some impurities to silicon to increase its conductivity, then I will say it is called doping. Okay? Now, let me take the examples of this. So, extrinsic doping can be of two types, or extrinsic semiconductor can be of two types. Either you can have a p-type semiconductor. P-type semiconductor. You'll study about this in detail in physics. N-type semiconductor. P-type semiconductor में current carriers are holes. Holes are current carriers. Whereas in N-type, electrons, negatively charged electrons are current carriers. Now let us see what are they. Right? Before I go ahead, let me take three groups. Group 13, group 14, group 15 elements. Group 13 element is boron, aluminium, gallium, indium, thallium. Carbon, silicon, germanium, tin, lead. And here you have these are the elements. Now I will also write their valence electron. If you write their electronic configuration, group 15 element, for example, nitrogen. Nitrogen is atomic number 7, 2, 5. So it has 5 electrons in last shell. It has 4 electrons in last shell. It has 3 electrons in last shell. Correct? Right? Positive type, negative type, Dhanush. Now what I'll do is, I'll take a silicon semiconductor. Right? Now, now guys, listen carefully. Silicon, you can see valency is 4 electron. I'm going to assume the valency of my semiconductor as positive. That means +4. This is just to explain you the concept. It has no reality. Okay? Whatever valence electrons are there for silicon, assume it to be plus, right? Plus charge. Assume it to be plus charge. Now, if you add from outside, any group 13 element. So group 13 element will bring how many electrons with it? 3 electron, carrying -3 charge. So this -3 charge will be able to neutralize how much positive charge? +3. So 1 + 1 charge will be left out, right? This positive charge is called hole, which will move throughout the semiconductor and conduct electricity. Okay? Why it is called p-type? Because +4 mein you are adding -3, +1 will be left out. So whenever a group 14 element semiconductor mein you add group 13, you will always get p-type semiconductor. Whereas if you take silicon, assume it to be again +4 valence electrons. Now add group 15 element. So group 50, this is just to remember, right? What to get when. This is just to remember, to give you a way of remembering it. Group 15 element will bring how many electrons? 5 electrons. With 5 electrons, it will bring -5 charge. So -5 charge will neutralize +4. So -5 + 4, what will be left? -1. So 1 electron will be left. This electron will move in the whole structure and conduct electricity. So here current carriers are electrons. Here current carriers are positively charged holes. Okay? Is it clear? So when do you get N-type semiconductor? N-type semiconductor is obtained when group 14 element is doped with group 15 element. So when group 14 element is doped with group 15 element. And this is obtained when group 14 element is doped with group 16, sorry, group 13 element. Group 13 element. Right? So this is the different types of semiconductor you can get. Right. Now, guys, I have mentioned a table here. This table has been asked in many times in exam, right? And you can expect questions from this in your test also, right? What does this table tell? We have taken many D block element oxides and we have tried to classify them as metals, that means conductors, insulators, semiconductors, and MS stands for those substances which can convert from metal or conductor to semiconductor at a particular temperature. Right? MS are those substances which can get converted from metal to semiconductor or conductor to semiconductor at a particular temperature. So you have to remember it. There is no logic in it, right? For example, TiO is a metal, means it is a conductor. Ti2O3 is MS. That means Ti2O3 will get converted from conductor to semiconductor at a particular temperature. I have added this in the notes. Please remember it before exam. This table is not easily available in books. So please remember it before your, this is only for JEE, NEET and CET. Okay? They will ask you, MNO is which of the fall? MNO is what? Conductor, insulator, semiconductor, what? These type of questions can be asked, theoretical questions. All right. This is all about your these properties. Guys, now we are moving towards the last topic of this chapter, which is magnetic properties. Correct? So what is magnetic properties? So guys, we have classified the compounds into magnetic properties as the follows. So first compound is diamagnetic substance. Diamagnetic substance. So if I take an external magnetic field like solenoid, Naren is asking, yes, TiO is titanium oxide. TiO is titanium oxide, vanadium oxide, and so on. Okay. Now, what I was saying here was, how do we define magnetic substance? If I take an external magnetic field like a solenoid, right, and I introduce, let's say, some metal into it, right, and this metal starts repelling, going away from the external magnetic field. That means this substance do not have magnetic property. That means this substance is a diamagnetic, right? So diamagnetic substances are the substances which are repelled by external magnetic field. External magnetic field. External magnetic field. Yes. Yes. So what I was saying here was they are diamagnetic substances are the substances which are repelled by external magnetic field, right? Also, you have studied in structure of atom and other chapters that they do not contain unpaired electrons. They do not contain unpaired electrons, right? Can you get a question from this? NEET में, CET में, yes. JEE mains में, rarely, right? Rarely, but chapter test में it can come. Okay? So they do not contain unpaired electrons. That's why they are diamagnetic. This is what we have studied so far in structure of atom. Now, the second class of compounds are paramagnetic. We used to say if they contain unpaired electrons, then they are paramagnetic. But magnetic terms में the definition is these substances are attracted by external magnetic field. External magnetic field. Right? they are attracted by external magnetic field. Pritesh, structure of atom maybe, Pritesh, after writing electronic configuration, they are attracted by external magnetic field. Now, they contain unpaired electron. They contain unpaired electron. I'm not taking examples of these. Examples of these I have mentioned in the table altogether, right? They are attracted. I'm not writing strongly. When I don't write strongly, it means weakly only. Nivedita, I have not written weakly because I'm writing generally attracted. I have not written strongly attracted. Okay? Now the next definition says, third one is, one more thing about this. They lose magnetism. They lose magnetism if external magnetic field EMF, you will consider it to be EMF only. External magnetic field is removed. If external magnetic field is removed. So if I remove the external magnetic field, they will lose their magnetism. So when I bring them near external magnetic field, they are attracted by the magnetic field. When I remove and behave as magnet, when I remove the external magnetic field, they will lose their magnetism. They will become normal. Okay? Right? Arey haan bhai, Pranav. They will lose their magnetic field. Now, third class is ferromagnetic. You'll study them in detail in physics also. What are ferromagnetic substances? They are strongly attracted by external magnetic field. They are strongly attracted by external magnetic field. Right? They are strongly attracted by external magnetic field. They retain magnetism. They retain magnetism even if external magnetic field is removed. Even if external magnetic field is removed, they will still retain their magnetism. Okay? That is another point. Now, one more thing you should understand here. Let's say there are 6 unpaired electrons. So those 6 unpaired electrons, when there is an unpaired electron, it spins. And when it spins, it creates a magnetic moment, right? So let's say these were also creating a magnetic moment. So these 3 unpaired electrons were creating the magnetic moment, and all these magnetic moment were clockwise. So we can club these 3 and say they belong to one domain. These 3 unpaired electron belongs to one domain. So what does domain represent? So guys, domain represents a region where electrons will have uniform magnetic moment or magnetic field. Okay? That is the domain definition, right? Right? Now, if you see this, similarly, let us say there were 3 electrons, unpaired electrons, which were in downward direction, anti-clockwise direction. They were rotating. So their magnetic moment was in this direction, lower direction. These electron magnetic moment was in upper direction. So their magnetic moments form a domain which is pointing down. This is pointing up. Correct? Now, this is how unpaired electrons arrange themselves in a domain. In ferromagnetic substance, all domain are aligned parallelly. All domain are aligned parallelly. Very important. Okay? Now coming to the last 2, which are the most important and most confusing for the students, that is antiferromagnetic. What is antiferromagnetic substance? They contain lot of unpaired electrons. They are expected to have high magnetic moment. due to lot of unpaired electrons. Since they have lot of unpaired electrons, they are expected to have high magnetic moment, but actually have zero magnetic moment. Mu is zero. Magnetic moment is zero. Okay? Why? Because in this case, unpaired electrons are there, but the domains in the upward direction and the domains in the downward direction are equal. Right? Are equal. So they cancel each other. Therefore, net magnetic moment becomes zero. Right? Yes, Kiran, I've shown you the previous slide. Now I'm moving ahead. So I'm saying they are expected to show, because they contain 10 unpaired electrons, let's say. So they should have high magnetic moment, but no, their magnetic moments of the electrons which are aligned in direction up, magnetic moment of the electrons which are aligned in direction down are equal. They are aligned anti-parallelly. Parallelly means same direction, yaar, Kiran. Like this. Same direction, parallel. Kayuri, parallelly means parallel, no, 180 angle. If all are up, all are up. If all are down, all are down. Right? So therefore, magnetic moment is zero. Now the last is ferrimagnetic. Ferrimagnetic. They are also expected to have high magnetic moment. They are also expected to have high magnetic moment, mu, right? But have less magnetic moment. Less magnetic moment. Why? Because in this, again, parallel anti upward direction and downward direction, they are not equal, right? They are not equal. This will get cancelled, but something will remain. So they are not equal in magnitude. Something remains. So therefore, magnetic moment is not zero, but due to cancellation, magnetic moment decreases. Okay? So this is all different type of substances which you can observe, right? There is something called Curie temperature. The temperature at which ferro gets converted into para substance, paramagnetic, is called Curie temperature. Curie temperature is the temperature at which ferromagnetic substance will get converted into paramagnetic. One more question. Which material is used to make permanent magnets? Ferromagnetic is used to make permanent magnet because they retain magnetism even in the absence of external magnetic field. Let us take examples. I have mentioned all the examples here together. You should try to remember this chart as well, right? All these oxides are paramagnetic, ferromagnetic only two. All these are anti-ferro, all manganese anti-ferro. Ferrimagnetic Fe3O4, these three are diamagnetic. I have represented all of them in a form of a table, right? This table is also difficultly available. So kindly add them to your notes and remember it before exam. Okay? Right, so we are almost done here. We are almost done. We are left with Bragg's law, right? Bragg's law is not there in your textbook, right? So let me quickly finish this also. What is Bragg's law? Okay? So guys, please pay attention. There is a first layer of atoms, right? There is a first layer of atoms. There is a second layer of atoms. So this technique is called X-ray diffraction technique. It is called X-ray diffraction technique, which is also called XRD in short. XRD. Okay? So what we do in this is we take X-ray, allow my X-ray to fall on the atom. From the atom, it will get deflected, right, in this direction. At what angle it was falling to this atom? Angle theta. It was falling at an angle of theta. Correct? Let me zoom it out. It was falling at an angle of theta, right? Then I took one more ray which bombarded from the second row of particles, second layer particles, and it was also incident at an angle theta. Okay. Now the question here is, what is the difference between ray 1 and ray 2? So please see carefully. Ray 1 gets deflected from here. Ray 2 is traveling this much path here. How much extra path ray 2 is traveling? Ray 2 is traveling how much extra path? So when you shift from ray 1 to ray 2, this is the extra path, correct? Which is covered from here to here. So you can say this length is this length, correct? So this and this length, let's say, is equal. So this length, it has to travel extra because you have shifted from here to here. But what about this? This is the length which it has traveled extra. And this also is the length which has traveled, second ray has traveled extra. Why we are not considering this ray, this length? Because this is same as when you shift from here to here, you lose some distance. That distance is covered here. But this distance is the extra path traveled by ray 2, then ray 1. So let me see, if I subtract the path difference of ray 1 and ray 2, all of you have studied waves. So path difference here path difference between two ray here is EB dash plus B dash F. EB dash plus B dash F. This is the total path difference. And you have studied in wave for constructive interference. For constructive interference, what is the condition? Your path difference, let's say this is delta X path difference should be equal to n lambda. This is the condition for constructive interference, n lambda. Very good, Prashant. It should be n lambda. Now I'm going to find my EB and EB dash, and I'm going to find my EB dash and B dash F. So EB dash ke liye what I'll do is, in this triangle I'm taking sine theta. So guys, this distance between two layers is called interplanar spacing, D. So this BB dash is D. BB dash is D. So sine theta will be EB dash by BB dash. So EB dash from here, BB dash is D. So EB dash will come out to be D sine theta. Similarly here, you can find in this triangle, sine theta is B dash F upon BB dash. So B dash F here, BB dash is D, will come out to be D sine theta. Now path difference is EB dash plus B dash F. Substitute these values. So delta X, that is path difference, is EB dash plus B dash F is D sine theta plus D sine theta. That means how much? 2D sine theta. And we have said it should be equal to how much? N lambda. So this is your equation of Bragg's law, right? This is your equation of Bragg's law. And here sine theta is the angle of inclination, angle of incidence. Lambda is wavelength. Lambda is wavelength of the X-ray you have used. What is N? N is the layer of diffraction. First layer, second layer, third layer. This order of reflection that will be given in question. D is called distance between two planes. Interplanar spacing. Interplanar spacing. Okay? So just take a note of this. This is your Bragg's law. When we meet on Monday, I'll take some questions on Bragg's law and start the next chapter. Okay? Before the chapter test, we'll do one problem solving session of this. Right? That's all for today. Thank you, guys. I have finished my class sharp at 8:30. It has become 8:31 after I dropped my pen. Okay? Pratham, notes are uploaded in Drive Beta. Pratham, I can show you right now in front of the class. Lesson is completed. Pratham, today there is no advanced class. I had given one homework. I'll give I'll give answer of that, and I'll discuss the solution in Monday class. Pratham notes are uploaded in Drive. Maybe you are not checking properly. Next chapter will be solutions. The cartoon. Now cartoon is easy one. Curie temperature. Curie temperature is the temperature at which ferromagnetic substance gets converted into paramagnetic substance. Okay? Right. So yes, just a minute. Yeah. If Tom would have known that his delta E is very less, Tom's delta E is very less, therefore it can conduct electricity like hell. This thing is known to Jerry, but poor Tom don't know that. Jerry is kind of educated person. Tom is not. Okay? That is, yes, Gautam, it is that thing. Now let us take today's quiz and end this class. Today's quiz are a bit interesting. So today's quiz, before I show, the moment I show, I'll give a timer of 10 seconds only, so that you don't Google. Okay? Chalo. Your time starts now. Your time starts now. I'll give the answer of the advanced class. Those who are waiting for that can wait. So sharp 10 seconds, I'm going to end this. Sharp 10 seconds, I'm going to end this. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Chalo, I'm giving you 5 seconds extra. That's all. We are ending the poll. Yes. So this is a quite familiar story. I don't know how many of you remember this. I didn't give you extra time. The moment I give you extra time, you will Google. That's the reason I didn't give. ठीक है. Prashant was knowing this quite well. So most of you have in hurry answered it wrong. Right? The correct answer, yes, Pooja, I can see your message. Correct answer is Carol Danvers. Okay? So when Thanos has finished this world, right? So Tony Stark was stuck in space. He was sending messages to his friends, but they were not teaching. Then you see suddenly some spaceship with a lot of light comes in. That spaceship is the spaceship of Carol Danvers. Okay? Basu, notes are available. Now, let me tell you about notes. When you log in into the folder, you'll see chemistry folder. In chemistry, you'll see the following folders. Second PU, JEE NEET. No, you'll see notes plus modules. When you go to notes, you'll see second PU. You'll see boards modules. Boards module separate. Boards module folder is separate. You'll see GOC and hydrocarbon. And you'll see DPPs. These folders are present. You have to go to second PU JEE NEET folder. In that, I have uploaded my PowerPoints. My PowerPoints are uploaded there. And along with chemistry, there is a separate folder for boards notes. Boards notes are available there. So Basu, this is what it is. Okay? Kayuri, today's classes didn't had many concepts. It was fast because it was theoretical concepts, definitions and all. Okay? That's the reason I am going fast in today's class. If there is logical explanation, I myself go slow. I explain everything 2 to 3 times. But today's class has definitions, ferromagnetic, anti-ferromagnetic. These are definitions. So that's the reason. Now, yeah. So this is who is known as the father of Lok Sabha in India. This though you don't know. You take 20 seconds. It's fine. 20 seconds also you take. It's fine. 20 seconds also if you can answer, it's fine. Ravi Kiran, if the constructive interference don't take place, the spot will not be visible to you in XRD. You can't see the image. Right. Let's end this on a count of 3. Yes, Pooja, beta, let me finish this. Then only I can do no. On a count of 3, 2, 1. We are ending it now. Even if you Google, it will take a lot of time. It's Mavlankar. He's the person who is nominated as or who is designated as father of Lok Sabha. You can go and Google and read more about him. He is known as the father of, yes, Danush, it is G.V. Mavlankar. Okay? Are, it's not, hey, it's not Pradyuman, it's not Ganesh Vasudev. It is G.V. Mavlankar, who is known as father of Lok Sabha. Okay? All right. Now let's move ahead. Yeah. So some of you are waiting for the shortcut, right? So let me go to that slide. Okay. Yeah. So what is the shortcut to that? Yeah. So if you see this, how to solve it using a number line method, how to solve it using a number line method, what you do is you have iron plus 2 and you have iron plus 3, right? You represent plus 2 and plus 3 on your number line. You represent both of them on your number line. And guys, future maybe when there are theoretical topics, I'll be going little faster. When there are conceptual and problem solving topics, I'll be going little slower. Okay? Now if you see this, plus 2 and plus 3, your compound is Fe 0.940. What you can do here is find the average oxidation state. Let's say oxidation state is X. So it will be 0.94 X. Oxygen is -2 equal to 0. So X comes out to be 2 by 0.94. You can simplify this approximately 200 by 94, right? You can divide this value. When you divide this value, your value will come out to be 200 by 94. 2.12. So your value comes out to be 2.12. Now I'm not going to take this directly there. So see carefully, guys. See carefully. If your average oxidation state comes out to be 2.5, this means your plus 2 is 50% and plus 3 is also 50%. That is the meaning of it. Correct? And if your average oxidation state comes out to be 2.4, average has shifted towards plus 2. Why average has shifted towards plus 2? Because the amount of plus 2 in the mixture has increased. So then this will become 60%. This will become 40%. Right? And if it moves towards 2.6, average is moving towards plus 3, then this will be 60%. Because the amount of this will be more, plus 3 will be more, then only average can increase. And this will be 40%. Now, if you want direct formula, how to solve? So let's see. Percentage of 2, percentage of plus 2 in the case of 2.4, right, will be given by, see carefully, if the average is moving towards 2.4, I know 2.4 is going to be present in more amount. So I have two lengths over here. One is this length, plus 2 to plus 3, and the other length is plus 2 to 2.4, and the third length is plus 2.4 to 3. I'm finding for plus 2.4. Correct? So if you know this, 2.4 mein one thing we know, which is present in more amount, plus 2. Why? Because average has moved towards plus 2. It can only move towards 2 when the amount of plus 2 increases. So for finding percentage of plus 2, you will take a longer length. So this is a shorter length, this is a longer length. Take this longer length. What is your longer length? 3 minus 2.4. So 3 minus 2.4 divided by total length, 3 minus 2 into 100. That means it comes out to be how much? 0.6 by 1 into 100. That means how much? 60%. Right? So if you are finding it, the substance who is present in more amount, take longer length. If you are finding substance which is present in less amount, take shorter length in numerator. That's all. So if I want to find, let's say 2.68 is my average oxidation state. Now I want to find the percentage composition. Average has shifted from plus 2.5. 2.5 mein they were equal. It is moving towards plus 3. That means which amount should be increased? Plus 3 should be increased. Let us find percentage of plus 3. Now your point is lying here. That is 2.68 pe. Now there are again three lengths, 2.68 to 3. This is one length. And other length is 2 to 2.68. With now I am finding plus 3. Plus 3 is present in more amount. So I'll take a longer length. What is your longer length? 2.68 to 2. So this will come out to be 2.68 minus 2 by 3 minus 2 into 100. That means how much? Into 100, that is 68%. That means iron plus 3 is 68%, and other one is this thing, correct? Other one will be 32%. So I hope, Pooja, you have understood this. And all those who are waiting here have understood this concept. Yes, this is a number line method which you can apply to average oxidation state concept in mole concept also. I will use the same concept to solve one previous year question in solution chapter also. This concept you can apply to 4 to 5 chapters. It's a very interesting, very less time consuming concept. Dhanush, it will be done by today. Dhanush, it will be done by today. Don't worry. Yes, Pradyuman. I can understand that. Are Dhanush, why you spam, man? Dhanush, I have said, still you are spamming. Yes, guys, you can leave. Thank you for joining in. You can leave. Dhanush, I have already answered to your doubt. You're still saying the same thing again and again. Thank you, Pradeep. Shreyas, sir, please explain why you did 0.94 into 2. Just a minute, Shreyas. 0.94 into minus 2. Shreyas, I did not do that. Where I did 0.94 into minus 2. Shreyas, I have not done that. Thank you, Advait. Chetana, I'll discuss that on Monday. I have to give answer key also. I'll discuss that on Monday. Yes, I can give you answer key for that. Okay, so Shreyas, you are asking here, kya? Shreyas, how do you find oxidation number, Shreyas? If I take Cr2O72 minus, how do you find oxidation state of chromium? X. How many of chromium are there? 2. So 2x plus oxygen is minus 2. So 7 into minus 2 equal to what is the charge? Minus 2. That is how you find, no? So similarly, I have assumed iron to be X. How many iron atoms are there? 0.94. So it will become 0.94 into X. Oxygen is what? Minus 2. Total charge on the molecule is what? 0. Yes, thank you, Kishore. Yes, Mukta, give me a minute. I'll show you that. Advanced problem, yes. This is the answer to the advanced problem, Mukta. Match the following. Mukta, this is the answer to the why do most malleable metals have FCC packing? I need to check this, Kushal. Since it's a factual part, I need to check this. I can't answer it like this. I need to check this.